welcome to the live stream. Something's going wild here. Okay, I think I just have too many. There we go. Too many audio sources going at once. Oh my goodness, that's just screwed up everything. Monitors on, all the sound is a disaster. Okay, I think we're all right now. Now we're ready to start. Thank you. Sorry about that. Welcome to episode 22. This starts our Thanksgiving special. Not a lot of turkey stuff involved in that. Mostly just due to my lack of turkey stuff preparation. So I didn't make any turkey cartoons. I didn't do like a turkey background. I thought about it. Didn't happen. Busy day and just can't get everything done all the time. That's the way it is. But tomorrow for the stream, exciting news. Thanksgiving, we will have uh, the Dungeons and Dragons arcade game. We'll be playing that, and I will have my friends playing with me. They will not be on mic because you do not need that. But I will have compatriots playing the game with me, which is a joy for all. So that's going to be an exciting. It's a fun little game. Good, good graphics. Is my nose crooked? Has my nose been crooked my entire life, and I'm just now noticing it? Chat, chat, you gotta tell me, is my nose diverted? Is it a camera angle? Or has my nose always been slightly diverted to my right? I guess you wouldn't know always, but if you have any comments on my nose positioning, please put it in the chat. Happy to hear about that. Anyways, today we're playing Oxygen Not Included. It's a fun game. It's like The Sims, except with science. But before we get started, just announcements up at the top here. This is the same the CFPB live stream. The CFPB is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, if you didn't know. It's a government agency that was formed after the Dodd-Frank legislation in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, which was bad. The Bureau oversees and regulates car loans, mortgages, credit cards, bank accounts, student loans, some other financial vehicles that fall into the consumer purview. We've existed for 14 years. I've been employed for 13 years, and it's been the best job of my life, and I love it. And I'm a member of the NTU 335 chapter of the CFPB Union. And tonight, I am not representing the CFPB in my official capacity as a government employee, nor am I representing my union or any subsector thereof. I'm not even representing like a friend of mine. All opinions are my own, and I do this stream freely of my own will, of sound mind, and just for my own ends, which is to protect and save the city. I believe in our mission. I believe in what we've done, and I just am here to encourage folks to please do what they can to help us out, and we'll talk more about that later. But now you know what you're here for. You're here to watch me play video games. This one I'm actually kind of good at. It's probably because it doesn't involve fighting bad people, because those games I'm not too good at. This game mostly involves managing a bunch of horrible things that are happening all at once. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Probably, but I don't remember. I was going to say many people are better than me at this game. Maybe they're watching right now. I apologize for not being as good as you, but I'm going to muddle through. And let's go over to the screen. All right, here we go. So we start out. I'm starting a whole new colony for you folks in the audience. This one is going to be my special CFPB colony. And I think that's great. So we're going to name all the characters. We're going to create characters. We've got 3 duplicants to begin with. Now, I'm not using bionics because that's a lot to endure for folks who have no idea what's going on already. I feel like I would just be making it worse. So we're going to try to keep it simple. We're going to look at what we've got. Freya here. We want a digger. Don't like irritable bowel. Okay, Liam can't do research. He's got a decor bonus, and he's a digger and supplier. The supplying gives him extra strength. I like that. Liam, though, we're going to name Dodd in honor of the Dodd-Frank Act. Mima over here, Grease Monkey, decreased germ. I don't like biohazardous. We don't get sick. And it'd be better if she had a few more interests that will come up later. Don't worry about it, but just it's good to start with. Oh, look at those. Bottomless stomach, decreased calories. So she needs to eat more often, and she has an attribute bonus while alone. I think we can deal with that. We're going to name her Frank, because Dodd-Frank. Otto over here, we want a researcher, so we've got a digger, we've got a builder, and a researcher. People are going to have different opinions about how you should start out, but I'm going to that's pretty good. I do not like a bottomless stomach. I can deal with because food is usually pretty easy to come by. I like Otto's kind of nervous look there. Oh, you know what? We can change their outfits. Can we get like a nice green? That's a nice green. For CFPB green. Or we can make Dodd. We'll give him dinosaur pajamas, and we'll give Frank a different kind of dinosaur pajamas. This does not help them at all, but it's cute. Where are the other dinosaur pajamas? Oh, here we go. Sorry, I went past them. No, those aren't dinosaur pajamas, are they? Those are lucky jammies. That's fine. And Otto. Okay, Otto, we're going to rename you. Well, we want something CFPB themed. And we're going to name you for no good. We could name you Flapjack. That was the name of a project that we worked on my team. It's a cute name. It doesn't really scream CFPB, though. We'll call you Remittance because remittances are a big deal. So he's Remittance. We're going to name the colony we're going to name it CFPB, right? But that we want it to stand for something. So we'll call it the Cool, Friendly, because they don't, I don't think the duplicants need financial protection. So we're going to call it the Cool, Friendly, a base, that's obvious. The Cool, Friendly Pals base, because it's pals. Yeah, that's great. I think the Cool, Friendly Pals base is great. This is great. We should change remittances. You know, I'll change remittances outfit once we get in the game, because I'm realizing it's easier to do inside the game. Maybe we'll give Frank the other dino pajamas. So you start off in this zone. So don't worry about this. It's not important. You can read that if you want to play the game for yourself. So I've paused the game. The duplicants need oxygen. Right now, this rock up here is going to be putting oxygen out into the atmosphere. That will help them. They need food. To start, we're just going to dig up muckroot. It's not great food, but it's suitable. They need bathrooms. That's a big thing right off the bat. You'll note that the game is telling me I don't have an oxygen generator built. You can survive for a while with the oxygen that comes from this oxylate, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to worry about bathrooms, and I'm going to worry about beds. So we have sources of water. That's going to be really important. Oh, we've already got a natural gas geyser. This is good for later when we want to generate electricity. We can turn the natural gas into electricity. And yeah, so that's where we're going to start. All right, so the important stuff. Let's play Barbie Dress Up. We're going to restyle Frank. There's that outfit. Probably I could have named her Dodd and the other one Frank, but I don't see why we have to be so limiting. Okay. Frank's gonna wear, she's gonna wear the, um, you know what? Even though she just looks more like a Dodd to me. So we're gonna change her name to Dodd. We're gonna change his name to Frank. He doesn't look like a Frank. He doesn't look like a Dodd to me either. He looks like a Barry. But that's not his name. And we got Remittance over here. We'll give Remittance a nice outfit. Let's see, Remittance. How about, you know what? We're going to restyle you custom like, because Barbie dress up again. Most important thing. How about the planet shirt? That's a nice shirt. That's just a top. Okay. We could give him some, I think, blue gloves. Yeah, those are nice. I don't want him wearing his underwear though. That's blue. That's great. He's got like an adventure suit. I love it. You want the orange? Or you want the space socks? Oh, the space socks. The color doesn't match. Ooh, okay, how about this then? Maybe later if we get some matching colors to the cool space socks. But that's Remittance, and now we're ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to set up some initial jobs for them. We're going to dig out this area. We're going to dig out over here because we're going to need space to build our stuff. Now, this is a little weird because I'm going to get dropped off into this little cavern immediately. This is a shine bug, not immediately useful, except it's spreading some light. You can't hunt it for meat though, so we're probably going to leave it alone. So I want to tap into this water over here. And even though this might not be, well, let's let them start digging. It's going to yell at me about a bunch of tutorials I have not done. Or, well, I have done them already, but it's asking me if I want to do them again. So now you see, this game is very accurate, mathematical. So when you dig up the sandstone, you're going to get sandstone out. And then you could use that sandstone to build things out of sandstone. So to build the pitcher pump, we need 400 units of like rock for the most part. We're going to use sandstone, and I'm going to put a pitcher pump right there. The pitcher pump will help us a lot with water retrieval. That's basically where my duplicants will get their water. And we're off to the races. All right. I think I lost a subscriber to my channel. Frankly, extremely depressing. So please like and subscribe because it's just sad. So I'm obsessed with numerical grids and things. I like symmetry. This is 32 tiles, okay, from the middle, which means this whole area down here would be 64, and it's centered under our starting thing. I'm going to go 64 tiles is a requirement for some rooms, and we'll worry about that later. But just to know why I'm doing 64, I'm going to make a kind of 64 tile rooms in this area. And to do that, we're going to run a floor out to here. And then that's actually where we'll put the ladder that will help my duplicants go between levels. So let's start them on that. So here we've got a bluff briar. That's just a plant that looks pretty and increases the decor. Decor is important because it helps relieve the stress of duplicants. This bristle blossom is a plant we can eat. Well, we can't. I'm not eating any of it. The duplicants can eat it. And it needs light, though. So sometimes when the shine bug gets close, it'll light it up. It'll grow. It's a pain in the butt plant to grow early on. So we're not going to worry about that for food. And again, we do have 2 bottomless stomachs, right? So they're going to be eating a lot. So anyways, the game has germs. The game has a temperature. The game has radiation. There's a lot of things to worry about. But in the meantime, it's just like cute little duplicants running around. And they find cute little creatures like the hatch. Look at that. That's a cutie. The hatch eats rock and poops coal, and that's extremely useful later when we want to use coal to generate electricity. All right. I don't know. I think that I'm just going to dig this all up because I don't think this bristle blossom is going to serve me that well. So I don't think I'm worried about it. Up here I have a couple more plants I could actually eat, and I don't need to worry about those right now. I don't want my duplicants to sleep on the floor. They'll get a crink in their back. So we're just going to lay some beds down that they can build, and that will get them through the first night. Now, normally I just play the game kind of on slow, and I just relax because games are supposed to be fun. But since I'm showing you this game, I'm going to speed it up and have the duplicants working at ridiculous animation speeds. That way, we can get through more of the game more quickly. Okay, so she's idle now, I think. So we need to give them more work because I wanted to make sure they built the beds. We're about halfway through the first day. You could set their schedule, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. So there's work time, and then there's downtime and sleep time. So they have plenty of time before they sleep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus quickly on the bathroom because tomorrow they're definitely going to want to go to the bathroom. I'm going to build outhouses here and here. And I want them to wash their hands. So I'm going to build a wash basin here. I'm going to build another outhouse here, but for now I'm going to leave it because this oxalite is creating oxygen. So I'm going to leave it go until the oxalite is a sublimator, which means that the solid oxalite turns into gaseous oxygen. So eventually all of the oxalite will disappear as it turns into gas. The oxygen is then inhaled by the duplicants. And I guess it kind of disappears. It goes into their bodies to produce the work that they do, I guess. Duplicants eat. They don't actually drink, literally, so they don't really need water. But they eat, and then they go to the bathroom. When they go to the bathroom, they produce polluted water, which we could turn back into regular water at a later point. Although, with outhouses, they don't create polluted water. Sorry, with outhouses, they create polluted dirt. Eventually, we'll do indoor plumbing, and then they'll create polluted water. Polluted dirt, we can turn into regular dirt, blah, blah, blah. The game is all about kind of taking the various resources, turning them into other resources, and figuring out how you can create a sustainable base doing that. For instance, this is algae. We are going to use that pretty soon to generate oxygen for our base for a little while until we can get the technology that lets us turn water into an oxygen source. Okay, so you can see everything's going very fast. Let's see what achievement we've earned. Oh, we have at least one toilet in the colony and a bed for every duplicate. We're doing good. I'm going to set this up so that the left arrow means that they're going to wash their hands when they leave the outhouses. So they won't go, otherwise they would wash their hands going in and out. They don't need that. It's a waste of time. I'm going to clear these designations because I don't need them anymore. And everything's going so fast. I'm not used to this. Normally I have like plans. Okay, there's just muckroot and stuff here. So I'm going to dig this down. You can tell I like my corridors to be 4 tiles high. Again, I am obsessed with shapes and symmetry, just in life in general. And so I always want symmetric constructions in this game. Now we see the dupes can't get down here. So we're going to build them a little ladder. And then they're going to be able to come all the way down here. They can only jump up they can jump up 1 space gaps and ladders. They can climb up 2 tiles high on a cliff. But anything other than that, they don't do as well. So here they go. They're digging everything up. They're having a great time. Okay. Now, you can see down here we have a lot of carbon dioxide. I can hit this if you want to see it kind of mapped out. This is all carbon dioxide, which is not useful to duplicates. And this is oxygen. So they'll hold their breath and do some tasks, but then they'll run back and look for oxygen. Carbon dioxide is a problem, just like in our environment. It builds up and you have to do something about it. So early on, I'll just build a carbon pit, which just means I will dig out the ground. And since carbon is heavier than oxygen, the carbon will sink and the oxygen will stay up in my base. So that's just using the basics of the densities of the various gases. So gases will sort themselves out in that manner. Liquids will too. So the denser liquids fall and lighter liquids rise. Right now we only have water in here, so we don't need to worry about that. Another thing that you need to manage is heat. Right now we don't have a problem with that, but as we start to add, oh, I need to give them more jobs. As we start to add, okay, I think now is the time. I'll breach this up here. As we start to add machinery, electricity will generate heat, so the machinery generates heat, and then we'll want to keep that heat insulated off from the rest of the base so the duplicants don't get too hot. And we'll want to find a way to cool things down often. There's machinery for that, so you have to manage that heat. You have to find ways to eliminate the heat. And this, you get used to all this when you're playing the game, and it becomes kind of like a fun. It's actually fun. I mean, a lot of you are probably a lot of you. There's two people watching, and one of them is me, I think, because I have a monitor for my stream. Uh, the one of you that's currently watching, thank you, is probably wondering how is any of this fun. It's fun for nerds. I like science. I like building stuff. This kind of has a nice, like a almost a scientific reality. Trust me, it's not real. But so now they're going to dig up here. It's almost break time. I'm just going to come into here. There's more oxygen in here, which is great. And then there's all these plants. This is food, 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 food. These are renewable plants, so they'll grow. You can harvest them, and then they'll grow again. More food, food, and decor plants. So we're going up there to get more food, more oxygen, and to get access to the meal wood, yeah, which is the first plant that we're gonna harvest and use. Okay. The next thing after that we're gonna want is, so you can see they're going to the bathroom. They get germs. This fills with polluted dirt, and there's a way that we can turn polluted dirt into regular dirt. Now they're grabbing food. He's going to the restroom, washing his hands. Good job. Now they're gonna chit chat, and now they're gonna go. Oh, darn it! I always forget this. There's a light here. The duplicants are going to sleep right next to the light, so they're going to keep waking up, and they're not going to get a good sleep. I might as well have made them sleep on the forgetful me. I know this, and this bug is just annoying them even more. So they're not going to do. They're going to be stressed out tomorrow. A little more stressed out. It's probably fine. It's pretty early in the game still, so they don't care. Stress can build and build and build. So later we'll build like entertaining things for them. I'm going to slow them down for a minute. And we're going to dig up here. So yeah, the natural gas geyser is something we'll have to deal with later. Right now it's going to be spitting out natural gas. There's going to be so much pressure built up in this little chamber and nowhere for the gas to go. That'll shut down the geyser. The geyser will stop. This geyser will produce natural gas essentially forever. So that's great for us. Uh, so that is useful for the duration of the base. Any geyser or volcano we find is going to be useful for the whole game. Part of the game is also there's a star map and you explore other planetoids and stuff around you. We're not doing that yet. That's a long ways off. Right now, we're just trying to live our life. So the next thing I want to do is build a science room and move the bedroom. So I think we're going to put the bedroom up where I'm digging right now. Then I could start a science room over here. Okay, I've really done enough. I don't really need to keep them going, but so we're going to put. I'm gonna put a little space here. So this is going to be our main column of our set of 64 tiles. So that's going to go something like this, and the doors will be right there. Then we're going to leave some space. This is just a thing I like to do. And we're going to build a room over here. So the ladder lets them get up and down. There's a little landing, and then more rooms. That gives us the opportunity to run pipes and tubes and all sorts of things, and have a little bit of extra give between rooms, which can be handy when you need to get tubes between rooms. We'll put fire poles in so they can slide down the fire poles and that lets them get down to places much more ladders. And then even later in the game, there are transit tubes to let them shoot all around the base. Okay, and we want to put the beds up here. I mean, this is less of a whoops. Oh, this thing's not a little better. So we're gonna put the first bed right by the door. And then, we're gonna fail to put the beds in the right places. There we go. We have 3 beds. I'm gonna tear these beds down. Now, when you tear down buildings, you get back what you put into it. So no real loss of mass there. There's a nice conservation of mass. And again, you can see, there we go. That oxalate all turned into oxygen, and the oxalate itself disappeared. Now I can dig this out, and I'm going to put another outhouse here. Now, I don't really want their long-term bathrooms to be on the first floor. I want to give them a real room and everything, but for now, this is fine. I will put a door here because that will make the bathroom a room, and they like that. Again, managing their stress, giving them nice things to think about. Now, it's still complaining that I don't have a food source, and again, I haven't built a farm. I haven't even researched farms, so I can't even make a farm yet. So it's complaining about that. But over somewhere, there's my screen is small, so right now under here, there's a guide to how many calories. I have my UI blown up because I'm old and my eyes are bad. And but you can see I've got 23,000. They eat 500 minimum 500 each day. I do have bottomless stomach folks who I think eat 1,000. Where is that? Trying to find that quality so I can mouse over it. And here we go, bottomless stomach. Yeah, it looks like they are going to eat another 500 kilocalories a day. That's fine. I have this on a lower difficulty of the 2 difficulties. Food is easy to grow. I think the difficulty actually changes how many calories they eat. So that's a very manageable number. Yeah, but I play this game on the no sweat difficulty because I like to have fun. So again, maybe I'm decent at this video game. I could probably play it on the harder difficulty and it would be fine. But why? I have enough problems with these guys listening to me on this difficulty. So, don't give them an excuse to misbehave. All right, let's do our science room now. We're going to dig all this out, and we're going to leave the oxalate. We're going to put a floor in. We're going to put a ceiling in, which they can't reach. So see, I could put a ceiling in here, but the dupes can only build 3 above them, not 4. So I have to build those from above, or build ladders. Who cares? This is gonna get right. I love that there's a nice natural gas geyser right there, but it's gonna get right in the way of my construction. It's annoying. Um, so it's not, I'd like for it to be a little further off, but I'll have to build all their fancy, barracks and everything in another zone. So like we see this here. I'm looking at the room overlay. This is now a latrine, which gives them a morale bonus, and this is a barracks, which gives them a morale bonus. So now if I look at their skills, let's look at remittance or any of them. They have 3 morale, and I think that they will get the morale for those rooms once they use them, because they haven't used them yet. And this will increase their bars. And then when I take skills, what's going to happen is if I take skills that aren't in their interests, that stresses them out. And then you have to balance the stress that they're experiencing with giving them the skills that they like, with the decor and everything else, so that, they don't get stressed out and start barfing or whatever. Or destroying things. Some of them break things when they get stressed out. That's no fun. And they get less work done. And I mean, what good is a dupe if it's not doing work? I don't want to sound like one of those people, but these are not humans. They're made of genetic ooze. We don't have to. You don't need to feel bad for them. They're living their best life. That reminds me, we had an interesting conversation this week in my Dungeons and Dragons game. I have 4 viewers. That's beautiful. Interesting conversation in my Dungeons and Dragons game this week about whether or not intelligent magic items, like an intelligent sword, likes being stuck as a sword. Like, are they resentful that they're swords? Or do they have a totally different psyche that makes them feel absolutely fine with being a sword? I had to rule on the latter because the former is, I think, super depressing. And then what do you do then? I mean, you can't like give a sword a body. There's really no. I mean, you could because it's Dungeons and Dragons. You can do whatever the hell you want, but it's not standard fantasy fare, you know. So I'm just gonna dig. Actually, I am gonna dig up that specific mealwood. So I'm gonna build my science room all the way over to here. I can dig up that muck root. I don't care about this bluff fire. I'll dig that up. I'll leave this mealwood, and that'll give us, just a couple little pieces of food as we're growing. So expanding the science room. We're doing good. All right. The science room is going to need electricity, and now we're in the next phase of the game. Right now, we only have the manual generator, a hamster wheel, and we only have the basic batteries. So I'm going to build these batteries and this hamster wheel. I'm going to connect them with a wire. And then the other thing we need to make science is a research station. And then I need to connect that with a wire. So now that's a bunch more things for the duplicants to build. Since my power is dependent on this hamster wheel, that means one of my duplicants has to ride the hamster wheel, which means they're not doing other stuff in the base, which is sad. So obviously I want to build coal furnaces, generators. I want to build natural gas generator, petroleum generators later in the game, hydrogen generators. There's all sorts of wonderful ways to generate power. Again, they're both in the same suit. Frank, you're supposed to be in the red dino suit. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I think my accidental click didn't re-erase anything, so that's good. There, you're in the red Johnnies. Not enough there. Okay, yeah. All right. The change clothes thing. I'm sorry, I'm looking at. All right, never mind. Anyways, so generating power is important, and we'll get to that. Again, I'm going to speed them up. This is the boring part where they eat and talk to each other. Who cares? Who cares, chat? Chat, does anybody have an opinion? I know my face is small right now, but has my nose always been tilted to the right? Let me know in chat. Um, I wish I had some impression. I wish I had a good Beetlejuice impression. Just to bring more entertainment to the stream and in my, I can kind of, I got it, you know what I mean, kind of thing. I got like sandworms, that, but I don't feel like it's great. I can do the kind of I can do the Charles Bronson. That's pretty good. I'm pretty good at that one. You know, creeps like you make me wanna puke. That's pretty good. But I guess it is somewhat limited to just things that make Charles Bronson want to puke. Oh man. So Remittance got stuck up here. I think you could climb down. Remittance, I think you can climb down, buddy. Can you please? Remittance, please climb down. Okay. Now you really screwed yourself up. Ugh. Again, duplicates. Okay, so now he's complaining he can't get to his bed. Thanks, Remittance. All right, we'll tear this back down. And next time, how about you be a little bit smarter about where you stand when stuff is being built? Duplicants. Anyways, worse than kids. Um, anyways, chat, what do you think of the Charles Bronson? You want to hear more Charles Bronson talking about stuff that makes him want to puke? Let me know in the chat. Just put it in there. You want to hear the impression where Charles Bronson has a stomach disorder, like digestive problems. It's punks like you that make me want to puke. Charles, it sounds like a lot of things make you want to puke. I got irritable bowel. No, that doesn't make you want to puke, does it? No. So he's got to have a different condition. What about, is it GERT? Does that make you want to puke? I've got an unspecified digestive issue. What else makes you want to puke, Charles? Bell peppers make me want to puke. Yeah, that's really more about the digestive issue, then, isn't it? It's not really like they've done some crimes in 1980s New York that are upsetting you. Okay, so we're going to do some research now. We need to research some stuff. I'm going to research. I like power regulation because I do like the jumbo battery, but I want to jump on the farming train a little bit quick because I do have two people who eat twice as much as a normal duplicate. So let's get on that train. So see, now we've got Remittance is running up a storm. Again, they're on super speed. Dodd is doing some research, and Frank is left as the only one building. So this is definitely now we've got a staffing issue. Okay. And in fact, speaking of staffing issues, it's time for the ask. Oh, you know what that makes. Anyways, Charles Bronson says, cuts to the CFPB's budget makes me want to puke. Does anybody know who Charles Bronson is? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm 40 something. I only say 40 something because I generally forget how old I actually am. But I'm in my 40s. I know that much. I remember Charles Bronson movies. A lot of people are not in their 40s or older, and thus I'm really concerned that nobody even gets this Charles Bronson impression. I have a James Mason I feel pretty good about. Lolita. No, nobody has seen a James Mason movie except me. And people my age haven't seen James Mason movies. I just went back and watched James Mason movies. So he's in some Hitchcock though, so somebody should be good. Somebody should be watching this. And I think I have a decent what's his name? Oh, Mary. From that wasn't that good, but from It's a Wonderful Life. Another again impressions that of dead people whose movies have not, are not a part of current popular culture. I think people still watch um, It's a Wonderful Life, right? Anyways, the CFPB had its budget cut by almost 50% in the big Bubba bill. And yet, the CFPB's responsibilities, as outlined in Dodd Frank, have not been cut at all. So we are expected to do the same amount of work with less money. Now, here's the kicker. In the first Trump administration, I believe, I want to say 2019, 2018, okay? The first Trump administration, it was determined by a Trump appointee that the staff required to do the work of the CFPB at that time was 1,400 people. And thus, funding was set aside and the hiring freeze was lifted until we reached the number of people we needed to do. Now, this administration not only has tried to fire everyone in the Bureau a couple times, negating, I don't know what finding they made in the meantime that determined that the 1,400 people who were required under the first Trump administration to run the were no longer required to uphold the law as it is outlined in Dodd-Frank. But regardless, again, nobody tells me the answers to these questions. I'm out here, I'm lost just like you are. Regardless, the funding's been cut. And now this administration's appointees are threatening that the CFPB running out of, and I guess consumers just won't get protected anymore. It's like RoboCop. RoboCop, the cops were on strike or something, or there wasn't money to pay cops, and then people went crazy, and then RoboCop happened. Except they aren't funding a Robo CFPB initiative. Okay, sorry, has anybody seen RoboCop? Is that still a thing? There was a remake. There was a remake. Okay, so the RoboCop references fly. All right, so RoboCop. What was I saying? So there's no RoboCop that's going to patrol the consumer financial markets. It's just us. It's just the CFPB. And if that policing goes away, if they defund the police, the consumer financial police, then we will see scams increase. We'll see credit card fees go up. We'll see the credit reporting agencies go wild because no one will be taking complaints about false, or incorrect information on their credit report. They'll have to go. They'll have to plead their case directly to these reporting agencies. Which, I mean, when there's no cop on the beat, your impetus, your encouragement as a company to pay money to make sure that you're following laws that no one's enforcing. I mean, you know, justify that to your shareholders. But if there's a cop on the beat, yeah. And then when you get fined for breaking the regulations or the laws, then you have to explain that to your shareholders. You're giving the company a bad name, etc. And thus you behave, right? And that's why we have police. That's why we have regulatory agencies to protect consumers, to make sure there's not another 2008 financial crisis. But the funding's been cut. So what is this all about up here? You probably already figured it out. You go to fivecalls.org, you look for CFPB, it'll get you to this link up here, and you make your 5 calls. Really, 3 calls is plenty, which is your congressperson and your 2 senators. You can call other senators. I mean, you can call, Chuck Schumer, he's the minority leader. You can call John Thune, he's the majority leader. They're in charge of their whole caucuses. Talk to them about the CFPB. You can talk to anyone you think might be involved or motivatable, or that cares about this stuff. Obviously, if you're the constituent of one of these senators or representatives, they're going to care a little bit more about what you say because you vote for them. But you have a freedom. You have the freedom of speech, and these people are elected representatives. They are accountable to the American people. I get off on this thing, and it's what I do. And you know what? I know you're saying, Chuck, I want to find out what happens to the duplicants, but I'm going to give you the 5 questions of power once again. Why? Because it's important. Tony Benn, he was a member of the British Labour Party, a member of Parliament, and he posed these 5 questions that you ask of people in power. And I just remind people about this because when you're like, oh, I don't want to call them, or it's creepy, or what if I get in trouble? You're not getting in trouble. You've got First Amendment rights. More importantly, as a citizen, is your duty to ask these 5 questions. What power have you got? Where did you get it? In whose interest are you using that power? To who are you to whom are you accountable? And how do we get rid of you? It's 5. I counted my pinky, so somehow I got to 6, but don't worry about that. And this is a part of the accountability. If you believe that consumer markets need to be regulated, that you need to be protected from fraud, scams, and businesses that do illegal things, which it happens. I'm not here to badmouth these businesses individually or as a group. It happens, though. People break the law, and somebody needs to be there to enforce it. That's what we do. So call those senators, call that representative, tell them to restore CFPB's funding as soon as possible. And the next available bill might be the Defense Authorization Act. See what happens with that. I don't know. There's the Stop Scammers Act, which is sitting around collecting dust. I would think that people don't like scammers. Why don't we pass the Stop Scammers Act? Tell them about that. Tell them how you feel about affordability, which is something that the regulation of bank accounts, overdraft fees, credit reports, and credit cards, that helps keep things affordable because a lot of people in this country spend money every month on bank fees, on credit card interest and fees, and on their mortgages. That's where most of our money goes, and car loans, those two. Everybody's got a stake in this. I know there are very important things happening that don't have to do anything with people's finances, and people feel like there are other threats to their freedoms or to democracy, and I'm not here to poop on any of that. But every day, everyone deals with consumer financial products, and that's why it's so important that the CFPB stays operational. Not to say these other things aren't important, they're all important. This is one that everyone deals with every day. And that's why I'm asking you to call. All right. You want to see the duplicates again. I get it. Let's go back there. And Chuck, please stop doing your impressions of old movie stars. If I thought of one more, I'd give you one more. But let's go back to the duplicates. All right. All right, chat. Also, wait, chat. Hold on. Go back here. Seriously. Seriously. Is it I just think my nose is actually left. I think I said right earlier. I was looking at this picture. It's my, blah blah. It's mirrored, but I think my nose favors the left a little. This is just revelatory. I look at myself every day. You'd think I would have noticed a nose tilt. Jeez. All right, back to the duplicates. What do you think, chat? Nose tilt? Yes, no. What do I do about it? Nothing. I'm not going to do anything about it. I don't. No. It's just weird. It's just a weird thing to one day discover that you have a nose tilt. All right. So now we've got our little science room. We've got research going. Any minute now, there we go. Oh, yeah. The printing pod. So this is another part of the game where you're essentially drafting new things. So what I'd really like to do is get a duplicate, build them a bed, and that would get me more work. So let's see what we got. So as a note, I have a couple of mods installed. Most of them you don't need to care about. But here I do have a reroll mod where I can reroll these options. In the base game, you can't do that. I'm going to play like, I don't even know that button's there. And we're going to instead try to look at what we got and just take from here. So this is just food. There's some medicine. But the dupes are the most valuable players here. So we got another bottomless stomach. He starts with a high level skill though. That's pretty sweet. He's got digging and decorating, which means he's not even interested in the skill that he's already skilled at. Digging is fun. Decorating is fun. Over here though, I'm looking at Ruby. Decorating, doctoring, and cooking. Useful skills. Unpracticed artist means she won't be able to do art. She does have decorating, so that's annoying because she has a +1 decorating and then a -3 decorating, a -3 creativity. So she's going to be slow at it. It still gives her the opportunity to like make some statues and stuff. She's immune to food poisoning. She's got increased germ resistance. It's good if she's handling food. I don't think that helps. Well, it might help her not spread germs, but I have my cooks wash their hands because I'm smart. And she'd be a doctor, and that's great for increased germ resistance too. I think I have to go Ruby. Now we do have to change the name, so we're going to change the name to Overdraft. No, wait, we don't want that to be. That's a negative, right? So we're going to change it to a positive financial term. We're gonna say interest free banking, but that's a long, complicated name. So we're just gonna call her Infree, Infree, and we'll know that that's interest-free banking. So Infree um, comes out and is immediately getting to work there. Let's style her up though. Do 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 do. How about this one? Look at that. That's fancy. Starch blazer. Um, she's got the doctoring skill. Something a little more doctory. Does that look a little more? That doesn't really look that doctory. There's a fancy dress. There's a different fancy dress. Um, yeah, how about some jammies with design dinosaur prints on them? Oh, sign this. That's like a doctor would wear. Well, I mean, they do wear scrubs. Okay. So we've got we're just kind of putting together another room up here. I don't have a right off the top, but I guess we could make it into a little dining room, which again will give them a morale boost. So let's see, did that morale stuff take hold yet? I still don't understand exactly how this all works. Okay. Yeah, the latrine and the barracks have kicked in for Frank. Infree is not happy about anything. I don't even know if I want to give her a skill yet because, oh, we'll give her this skill because then we can start cooking food. Frank's happy as a clam. And you can also see you can put hats on them once they get jobs. The jobs let them wear hats. So, like, here's a grilling hat. We're not going to use that at this point just yet. I don't want her to be feel like she's really uh, confined to just that life. You know what I mean? Let her branch out. Okay, so we now have some farming technology. I'm gonna go to this next one because I want the electric grill and I want the farm tile to grow seeds. Let's see the oxalate. We're losing oxalate quickly as it's turning into oxygen. Now we have a lot of very breathable spaces. We do not have a lot of spots for our carbon to go. So the carbon is building up down here. It's not high pressure yet. You want to be careful that things don't get too high, like 2,000. grams in gases. Um, I think it might be higher than that, but then the duplicants start to get popped eardrums from the pressure. Nobody wants that. So we're going to start digging down here. So we have to be careful when our duplicants get into water. They get wet, they get cold, they don't like it. Everybody's using the bathroom, having a great time. They're eating their food. Infree is standing there, somewhat like a dullard. Some sand fell here, so now it's in front of the ladder, so I just need to dig it out. Oh, I forgot to build Infree a bed. Let's set that up. So let's talk about priority. I'm going to put a higher priority on this bed. We're going to make it priority 9. So then they'll do that task before everything else. So just when you see that screen with the numbers coming up, it means I'm adjusting priority. I could also do it through here. It's a 9. And yeah, that's how that goes. That's an important aspect of the game as well. Okay, chat, any update on the nose? Is anybody feeling any opinion about the nose tilt? Nobody? The Charles Bronson impersonation. Anything. The James Mason impersonation. Well, I think it's a pretty good impersonation. I'm James Mason. James Mason thinks it's a good impersonation of James Mason. All right, let's see you down here. Let's start looking for more carbon dioxide pits. So we don't want to dig this out too much because I don't want this water all spilling into this. So we're just going to dig out kind of a stairwell down to here where we have a lot of coal, which will be useful pretty soon. And we have some muckroot and copper, and I'm going to dig all that up, and the coal for later. Now we're going to need a ladder here because that's too high to climb. And so eventually we're going to want plumbing too, then we can start pumping water around. So we're storing it in tanks, which is interesting because it's actually slightly inefficient to put it in tanks. It actually, you can put more of it in just like dumps than you can in tanks, but obviously tanks are a little bit cleaner, easier to utilize. So there's reasons not to do it. All right, you can see them there here. They got to run up out of this carbon pit because all of this carbon dioxide is just sinking, and they're out of breath. They're holding their breath to get down here and do the work, and then they're running back. Later, we'll get atmosphere suits that'll let them, like kind of a spacesuit basically, that'll let them breathe oxygen in different places. Or I can make little oxygen masks that let them go into these kind of areas and still have oxygen because they love these fools love oxygen. Oh man, and now they're idle. That is the curse. Don't let them be idle. So now what I'm doing is I'm telling them that they can farm all these plants that they see. So in these ones, they can actually harvest them. There's some more over here. I'll just tell them, even though they can't reach them yet. Those are also good for this purpose. So, okay, I don't have pressure doors yet. The main thing about pressure doors, and again, I have a mod because pressure doors are leaky. I don't want to get into it. It's a whole thing. The important thing to note is that normally when I when I use pressure doors, normally a little gas or liquid would leak back and forth between the pressure doors. That will not happen in my game, and it's because I find the whole thing very annoying, and there are like tricks to get around it, and I think that the tricks make everything look ugly. So instead of doing any of that, I just have a mod that makes it so that none of that happens. And airlocks just work like airlocks, and it's nicer. It's kind of like the expected behavior, and also it makes the board prettier. And we've talked about how I like a pretty board. Okay. Oh, we're up to 6 watching. 6 watching. Hey, everybody. I see there's just watching. What's going on with my nose? Is it tilt left? Your right, my left? I think so. How have I not noticed that up to this point in my life, or did it just happen? Anyways, we'll be discussing that and my Charles Bronson impersonation. Welcome. If you haven't heard my Charles Bronson impersonation, you're not gonna. All right, so now we've done that research. Oh, I want my big batteries, so let's do that. So at first, we got to rely a lot on the manual generators, and that isn't great. I don't still. It's in a normal game when I would be playing slow, that would never happen because I would be so on the spot with giving the duplicants things to do. But again, speeding the game up isn't really great for me. I'm not used to it. So I'm just going to dig some more. This will, again, give us more space for carbon to go. I want to explore more of the map so we can see, this is one resource that I'm going to want to go and grab and use. I'm not ready yet. I need a pump, I need gas pumps and things like that. It's a whole thing, but it's probably going to be one of my first reliable sources of power. But also, long term, there are things like metal volcanoes that I will really because it just refined metal is obviously a super important thing in technology. It's good for wiring. It's good for building all sorts of things. And later I'll be making steel. That's an important thing because it can stand high temperatures, and it makes for very good machinery in the game. So the main thing about bionics, which again, I don't have any bionic characters in this run so far. The main thing about them is that they work 3 days without needing sleep, and then they just kind of like sit down and recharge. They don't learn skills. They essentially get them plugged in, like in the Matrix. Um, that's both an advantage and a disadvantage. They don't eat, which again is like an advantage and a disadvantage. It depends. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I need to start thinking about farming. I'm just gonna build. This is just gonna be temporary, but it's right next to the water. And that'll make it nice and easy. Um, and the bionics are they don't breathe oxygen constantly. They inhale it all at once and store it in oxygen tanks. And then they can go into places like this carbon pit for longer periods of time and work, which is nice. They don't use the bathroom, but they do have a material called gunk that piles up. You have to get rid of through a different thing. Blah blah blah. And they need batteries. That's one of the big things. Is they need batteries, and those batteries are a little bit up the technology chain if you want to really make like rechargeable, efficient batteries. And you need to be generating a lot of power to recharge those batteries. So they are a little bit of a challenge to handle. I have a game where I'm only playing with bionics, and it is a hard one. And you don't care about any of this, but that's the point. If you get into Oxygen Not Included, and you think this looks cool and fun, and you want to do hard things with it, I encourage you. I think it's a super fun game, and there are tons of tutorials, more tutorials on YouTube than I could possibly count on how to do everything, and every little trick and everything. So where do I have some mealworms? Okay, let's see. Mealwood, excellent. So I'm going to put mealwood. I'm going to automatically have this priority 6. Um, because later I won't need that. I would probably prefer it to be priority 5. If I have like a dedicated dupe for farming, you know what? 5 is probably going to be fine. I do that out of a habit to make sure there's enough food, but I think that was something I did early on because I didn't know what I was doing as much. And now I know a little bit more. But anyway, so I'm going to copy settings, which is a great little tool here. So that means I'm going to copy it and put it here and here, and boom, they're already set up for meal as well. And meal lice are the little things that come out of mealwood. They can't be, can they be eaten on their own? I guess they are. Yeah, they're edible on their own. but they can be cooked into a variety of things. They are disgusting. They're grisly, which is it gives your dupes a negative morale bonus to eat. Uh, when you get into like high quality cuisine for duplicates, they get morale bonuses from it. So like you start feeding them meat and steak and stuff like that. Not steak, and now it becomes a bonus, which is again why eating food can be good, because if you have good food to give them, that increases their morale, and it just makes them the morale just makes them a lot easier, as you could imagine, because why else would they call it morale? All right, where do we want to go next? I have there's some water in some annoying places, so this will give us the liquid pump, liquid pipes, and liquid vents, essentially drains. And so we can start moving this big pile of water around because it's in an inconvenient place. This water is not, I mean, it's in the middle of my base. But then again, this gas vent is in the middle of my base. So maybe I just need to relocate once I find some more suitable ground. Yeah, because I don't have a dedicated, I don't have anybody I have a cook, don't have a farmer yet. So this is the priorities screen. You can set, man, again, sorry, looks weird because I have this game in windowed mode for streaming, and the Windows name is off to the left. That's not convenient, but we don't need to worry about that right now. So you can set priorities so that some dupes are more likely to take certain tasks. Because again, I can't tell the dupe what to do. I can just say, I need this done, and someone appropriate will come and do it. Now, I think the game automatically prefers people who are good at things to do them, but not necessarily. Uh, an upside of this manual generator that they're using is that they're going to develop their athletic skills and their machinery skills while using it. Again, bionics don't, because they don't learn skills. That's another disadvantage. Blah blah blah. Do I have a? Oh, I have a cool neutronium. No, do I have neutronium? No, there's just the retro. I have different skins and stuff to let me modify the game. Did I do the power? I did do the power. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect the generator. I'm going to use the cutting tool. I'm going to disconnect the generator wire from the batteries. And this is just because the dupe's already put in the work to charge these batteries. I don't want to waste that effort. So I'm going to let the batteries drain out, tear the batteries down, and build a jumbo battery there, which is more efficient and doesn't lose so much power over time. Because the batteries just kind of discharge, and the jumbo battery doesn't discharge as much. So more efficient battery. Just once you get the jumbo battery, that's basically all you want to use until you get the auto battery, whatever battery, the next battery, which isn't better, it's just different. And so you start to then more customize how you're doing things, because later on, what you don't want to discharge a bunch of, I mean, it's essentially kind of physics. You have potential energy in the form of maybe coal, and then you can turn that potential energy into electrical energy using a coal generator. The problem is that you have to store that power if it's not going to be used immediately. So that power has to go into a battery. Batteries aren't perfect. So that power is stored in the battery. Power is lost by the battery over time, and the battery generates heat. Heat in machines is lost energy. Um, that's why it's so much more efficient to use LED lights as opposed to incandescent lights. I'm sorry, this is turning into a physics lesson, but maybe you like that kind of thing. Incandescent lights use energy to create heat. They heat up the wire, the filament in the light until, oh man, and my guys are idle because I am talking about topics I love, like the thermodynamics of light bulbs. Um, so the incandescent bulb essentially heated up this little wire, and the wire turned in or created light because it was heated to such a degree that essentially more and more energy um, creates light in more spectrums. Heat is light in the infrared spectrum. Light is light in the visible spectrum. Then there's UV and all that blah blah blah. Who cares? The point is that LED lights don't generate light in all the spectrums. You can narrow which spectrums are generated, which means you just want the visible, and thus less heat is generated because you don't. I mean, it's a whole, you're using resistance, blah blah blah. You're not using resistance to generate light in an LED as much, so there's not as much resistance, and the light is much more efficient. Similarly, in this game, if you're burning coal and putting it into batteries, the batteries are generating heat, you're losing power. That's not the way you want to store the power. You want to store the power as coal until such a time uh, as you need it, and then on demand, you want to burn it into energy. Okay, let's go with bathrooms. That's the next technology. So, and again, in this game, that's kind of what you want to do. What you do later in the game is use automation. So, automation lets you say, well, there's power demand, so turn on the generators. And then when the power demand drops, you turn off the generators. And so you're not storing as much energy in batteries. So your whole system's more efficient. You can run more machines, blah, blah, blah. So this game is different than a lot of other games because that sort of thing is kind of the core element, is this basic real physics that, the real physical laws, at least. I mean, not everything is real physics, but it's based on it. I mean, one of the things is like how hard it is to generate oxygen uh, and get rid of carbon dioxide. In the real world, we do that with plants very easily. The plants in Oxygen Not Included don't do that. And it's basically because that would be, I think it would just, that's not the game they wanted to play. It was just like having a whole huge, you know, plant garden to suck up the carbon dioxide. There is a plant that does it, but it's rare and it's so. There are better ways to get rid of carbon dioxide. Um, you could vent it into space. We're not there yet. You can see space is not an element, but eventually you dig up enough and you get to space. Because this isn't a full planetoid, so there's no atmosphere. It's not a full planet, it's just planetoid. So there's no atmosphere. Don't ask about the gravity. It just works. We don't ask questions. Um, Another way to get rid of carbon dioxide is with a fun little creature called the slickster, which eats carbon dioxide and turns it into crude oil. Don't ask. Don't ask. It doesn't. It's science fiction. It's fun. Again, it's not a full science game. It's a funny game with cute animals that turn rocks into coal. We don't. We don't ask questions. All right, so we're just building up some more spaces. So the next, I mean, the major things that we're trying to do: research, start that farm. We've got a pretty good farm going now, which is going to get us um, enough survivability. So these plants down here, plants all require something to grow. Mealwood is super easy. It's gross. The dupes don't like it, but it grows in oxygen, fluid oxygen, or carbon dioxide. Body temperature range is pretty good. It's easy to get hotter than 30 degrees Celsius, so you do have to be careful with that um, in your base and making sure that you've cordoned off things that are heating your base. Radiation, not a big deal. Doesn't need water, and to fertilize it, you just need dirt, 10 kilograms of dirt every day cycle. Um, so that's a nice, easy plant. Other plants will require more interesting things to fertilize them. they'll require different amounts of water or polluted water or salt water, and they'll require special atmospheres. So again, it's a game. It's not real life. So the the easiest thing to grow is the thing that they like the least, and blah blah blah. I guess that's like real life. Almonds are delicious. Okay, Remittance is our scientist, so he got a skill up, so we're gonna put him in advanced research. And I do am gonna give him a hat because this is a hat that's a reference to Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and I love that. I love that for him. I love that for me. So Remittance gets to wear a cool hat, and he's gonna go down to the skill pond. He's gonna get zapped in the head, and he's gonna put on his cool hat. He loves it. Oh man, he took his time putting that hat on. All right. Remember to like and subscribe. We're gonna do another little. Oh, it's a skill break or skill point, and they're on break. I'm on break. So we're gonna make Dodd our digger. Do we want to give her a hat? I like. I like the dino. I think I do like the dino pajamas with the miner's cap. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. All right. Now let's do that call to action. All right. I'm going to go quickly to the our change.org. Is it petition change.org/stop vote? This is our petition to do something about the behavior and the performance of the acting director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Our opinions are expressed there. You can read them and see if you agree. I have critiques of what has been going on at the Bureau since the new administration has taken over. Um, I have critiques of how they feel about the Bureau's obligations. It's been a real whirlwind. You know, again, this is just personal conjecture, but I feel like the thinking is that we're some sort of like political bureau full of, let's be honest, like Democratic operatives for the Democratic Party. I'm not an operative for the Democratic Party. I don't consider myself a member of the Democratic Party. And this is important because I am registered as a Democrat in Pennsylvania, but that's because if you register as an independent, which is what I was for years, um, you can't vote in primaries. And eventually I got sick of that. So I just said, I'm going to vote in these primaries. And I changed my affiliation to Democrat. Those were the primaries I felt that I wanted to vote in. That's why. But I don't consider myself a Democrat, and have never given to any political party. And especially this is the case as a federal employee. I feel like, I mean, I have no grudge against people who do give to political parties. I just don't feel, I'm not a big affiliation guy. I come from the tail end of Gen X. We were not joiners. Like, go back and listen to our music. We're pretty, I mean, it's pretty anti-join as a culture and anti-follow. And I still am that to my core. And I think that's American. I think that's the spirit of this country. No kings, no gods, only punk rock music. Um, so, anyways, I feel like they think that we're all Democratic operatives. Not my experience. No one has talked about any political party to me at my job. That's not what we talk about. We don't talk about politicians. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about policies, except the policies as far as the CFPB's mission and how we try to carry out that mission. But it's about the law that was written. It is certainly not about the agenda of any political operative or elected official. That's just not our concern. If Congress tells us to do stuff, we do it. Uh, so far as it's legal and within the bounds of what we do. If the executive branch tells us to do stuff, we do it. Again, so far as it's legal. Like the duty of a employee of the federal government is to carry out the mission of their agency. That's what I am there to do. And so, you know, I saw something recently that where people felt like a lot of the stuff that happened with Doge was looking for evidence that there was a lot of political operation going on inside of places like the CFPB. It's just not the case. I mean, in my experience, maybe it's secretly happening behind closed doors. I haven't been let in on. I don't. I don't do management, so you anybody could have meetings behind my back. I've never heard of such a thing, though. We just do what the agency's supposed to do and uphold the laws. Anyways, so I feel like this is like some kind of weird political, anti-political thing. Like, well, these political parties did this thing. We're in here now. We're going to tear down the things that they built. Okay. But the CFPB wasn't just built by Democrats. First of all, it was the Dodd-Frank legislation was bipartisan. But second of all, um, a lot of the duties and the laws that CFPB has enforced in its 14 years of existence predate the CFPB. It's not like all the laws were written. It's things that were there before, but they were collated essentially into one agency. So those laws ain't one party or another. They're laws that have existed forever. Um, if you don't like the laws, there's a body of the Constitution, the Article 1 branch, the legislative branch, which can change the laws, and that would be the way to do that if you don't like the laws. If you don't like the regulations, there are ways to properly change those as well. And that's what I would say. Just do that. And again, we will do what is in the law. We'll do what's legal. We will follow the regulations. We will follow the instructions. That's just what we do. We're government employees. We just want the government to function. Um, and so I, really think that everybody needs to pay attention to the mission of these groups and not the politics that they think exist inside these groups or surrounding these groups, these agencies, I mean, specifically, like USAID, the CFPB, the Department of Education, the FBI. Like, looking for an agenda, I don't think you're going to smell that many. It's not like there are none, but it's just not what most of the employees are doing in their day to day. Anyway, so you can read the petition above and sign it if you agree. I think that I just want people to go back to doing what these agencies are supposed to do instead of pursuing what seems like a political vendetta. I can't, I don't know these people's hearts, but I just go by what people show me, you know, and that's what I see. All right, you're all bored. You're bored. You want me to move on? I get it. I get it. I get it. Oh, wait, wait, wait. I can't move on until I mention podpulse.org. Go to podpulse.org. Search for CFPB. Call your representative. Call your two senators and tell them to restore the CFPB's funding to its pre-big bill levels. That's 12% instead of 6.5%. This is stuff that's not my area of expertise. Restore that funding, do it in the National Defense Authorization Act, pass the Stop Scammers Act. However they can do it, do it. We need the protection of the CFPB to keep the affordability crisis from getting worse. All right, I've said enough. Duplicants, ho! There they are. You know them, you love them. Dodd and Frank, along with remittance and in-free. That's interest-free banking. Which I mean, like, I'm not saying interest-free banking should be the way of things. Like, why did I say interest-free banking? Interest-free. I mean, interest-free credit. No, I don't know what I was thinking. That's not what I meant. I had some idea in my head. And I don't know why. It should be like um, no fees. No fees. Yeah, like no fees banking. Not that there should be absolutely no fees, but for most accounts, I mean, if I give you my money and you hold on to it, you do stuff with my money, you make money. So most accounts should either have no fee or should be accounts where you earn a modicum of interest. Um, that's an opinion I have. I mean, again, it's not the law, but I think that would be cool. So Dodd-Frank remittance, no fees. I could also say um, like I mean, good rates, better rates. I don't. What was I thinking with interest free? I don't know. I don't know why my brain's. I mean, interest free what? Credit cards? That's not how that works. It's a dumb name, Chuck. I think yeah. I just wanted to say like no fees. I don't know why I said that. I'm harping on it a little bit now. I'm like hanging a hat on it. It's getting real. Okay. Oh, I lost a couple. I lost a couple viewers. I'm constantly watching the viewership to note my performance. How well am I doing? Okay, we got Frank. Got Frank. Frank, you want to be a digger, Frank? Frank, yeah, this is your first skill. Well, you get to be a digger too, Frank. Frank. So okay, no fees is pretty good. No hidden. I mean, let's no hidden fees. That would be good. Um, or like no medical debt on your credit report. That would be good, I think. But I'll just stick with no fees. No fees is a good name. Oh, yeah. All right. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm getting lost in my own sauce. That happens. It should just go back to my James Mason impressions. I wonder if I said George Mason earlier. Sometimes my mind goes awry. So if I said George Mason, no, I don't even know. I don't know what George Mason sounded like. I know what James Mason sounds like. Sounds like the guy from Lolita because that's who he is. All right, so we've got water here. Let's see. What project do we want to do next? We need a lot more digging, I think. Let's see. Got the gunk extractor. So here, early in the game here, we can take breaks from research intermittently to give again more work to do. But I could use these airlock doors, so I'm going to keep doing research for now. Expanding too much, as you could imagine, means your oxygen gets stretched thinner. The way to prevent that is with airlocks, so that your oxygen stays in one place. Um, and the carbon dioxide is going to build and build too. Now, right now we've got pretty good. This is two pressure here is pretty low, so we can the dupes are exhaling carbon dioxide, I think. Do they exhale carbon dioxide? I'm pretty sure. Where's the somewhere it says what they do? Properties. Specific heat capacity. Nah, I can't find it. Whatever. But carbon dioxide builds up in a lot of ways. I'm pretty sure dupes exhale carbon dioxide. Yeah, he's exhaling 1,200 milligrams per second of carbon dioxide and inhaling 53 grams per second of oxygen. So I don't put out much CO2, but it's enough. And again, this is abstracted because in real life, it's not like if I go into my basement, there's so much carbon dioxide down there. Air is pretty well mixed in real life. But again, this is a fun science simulation type thing. All right, what we got going on here? All right, chat. Again, you haven't weighed in yet, which let me check. Nuns have. I just want again, is my nose tilted to the your right, my left? Look at that. Is it the lighting? Maybe it's the lighting. No, I still see a little bit of a favoring. You might be like, "Whoops, Chuck, why are you obsessed with this?" And it's just, it's a gag. It's a bit. It's a bit. I noticed it. I thought I'd make a bit out of it. Better than my James Mason impression. Nobody knows who James Mason is. Charles Bronson impression. Punks like you make me want to puke, and then he has a suggestion, and it's like, um, uh, you know, mole sauce like you makes me want to puke. Because mole sauce, I don't know. I just thought it might be something that upset his tummy. Um, let's see. All right, so we're not doing science right now, and we don't have a charge in here. Oh, that's right. That's because I cut off that generator. It's good to remember projects. So remember, I cut the power here, so these would discharge. They've discharged. I'm going to up the priority of tearing them down so that my dupes will get to tearing them down. They will tear them down, and then I will build a new battery in their place, which is more efficient. Now, the heat generated by these little boys here isn't huge. It's not a lot. So we're looking at maybe a couple degrees higher in this room. But if I were to build a coal generator to generate power, a lot of heat. That's going to generate a lot of heat. It's also going to make carbon dioxide, and then I'd have to find a place to put all that carbon dioxide. Right now, I don't have a place. So, you have to weigh these risks. I don't, I kind of avoid a lot of power solutions early in the game that aren't manual generators just because I don't like, you know, being early in the game and my plants won't grow because it's already too hot or something like that. So, all right, so we're going to build a jumbo battery here. I'm going to reclaim through this wire. I'm going to deconstruct it because there's only one plug to go to here. And then I'm going to reconnect these wires, which, so this is a fun trick in this game is you can disconnect and reconnect without any construction by using the cut tool. I may want, so remittance is coming up here. Okay, he's coming to deconstruct. We can live with that because I don't want anybody running up while it's not connected to the battery, because nobody's at the science station, so that power will just go nowhere. Not useful. Over here, we're digging up some more algae, building some ladders. So you can see I'm building this kind of ladder floor. Stuff falls through ladders, whereas it piles up on floors. So I'm just kind of making a quick and easy kind of way for everything to just fall down and can be collected later. This is all a mess, and duplicants don't like that. So, like, this crap on the floor is lowering the decor. This is the decor if it's used for construction. So if I use copper ore to make something, it increases the decor value by 10%. But just copper ore laying on the floor is a -9. So if I look at my decor overlay, the red is where decor is very bad, and the green is where it's good. These bugs provide some decor. This portal for the printing pod provides decor, positive decor, and nothing else does. So right now the decor is awful, and the dupes are not loving it. Later on, I'll build statues and trim and everything else, and the duplicants will be much happier with this. Okay, again, we're just digging down. There's tons of carbon dioxide piling up. We're going to go over here so we can harvest another plant. That's ready to produce some food, free food, why not? Over here, our farm's growing up pretty well. Our calories, we're up to 36,000. So even with these bottomless stomach fools that I have, we're still hanging in there with our food count. And we haven't even started cooking yet. We don't even have a cookery. All right, so a couple things I can do now. I maybe will build a little power plant just so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to pin my coal so I can pay attention to how much coal I have. Right now, I don't even have 4 kilos. I'm going to pin my algae so I can pay attention to that easily. Yes, they're just going to be over here. This is not a lot of coal. There's probably more to dig up. There's some here. Another way to get coal is to find the critters, hatches, that eat rocks and make coal, and then start to farm them essentially. But the problem is I don't have um, anyone with critter ranching, so right now we can't even really do that. So that's not going to be a solution. Take that out. So we don't have a lot of coal, so it's probably a little early to try and build a coal plant. Harnessing this gas would be a nightmare because the geyser is producing gas at 150 degrees Celsius. That's very hot. While the gas is cooled down here, it's still warmer, 29 degrees, etc. If I were to close this off and build a pump in here and pump out that gas, whatever pump I built would increase in temperature more and more and more and more because it keeps getting 150-degree natural gas pumped into this zone. If the pump can't handle 150 degrees Celsius, I'm just getting rid of all these exclamation points that I don't need to see anymore for new technologies. If I can't have something, I don't even have ventilation technology yet, but if the pump can't withstand 150 degrees Celsius, the pump will start to overheat. And even if I made the pump out of gold amalgam, here's some gold amalgam, and that increases the overheat temperature by 50 degrees. That only gets us up to 125. So you can do a couple things there. You could try to distribute the heat elsewhere, or otherwise try to find a way to get rid of the heat. I don't feel like it. So what we're probably going to do is wait until maybe we even have steel to pump that out. I know that seems wild, but coal is just easier to start with. And I said that seems wild. That may seem wild to people who have played a little bit of this game or watched a little bit of this game. But I'm not. I don't want to deal with overheating. So I'm going to go to coal, which means I'm going to have to find more sources of coal, and I'll use the coal to make the power to make the steel, to put a little steel air pump in there, and then that gas pump, the air pump, will pump out that natural gas. I'll have a natural gas generator probably somewhere here, somewhere over here, out of the way. We'll start pumping out natural gas, build some cool natural gas generators. Everything will be great. And these 4 are idle, so I need to find something for them to do right now. I'm going to reconnect the power. That gives one of them something to do because he's going to go run that wheel. This is granite, igneous rock, copper. I'm not seeing anything I need necessarily. I really need more coal, and there's not actually a lot in here right now. Okay, well, we're going to dig up the coal that I do see. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm just cordoning off 4 tile high. Ladder rooms. Now, this is dumb. Okay, so I want to be careful here because this is sand. If I dig out this copper ore, the sand will fall, the water will pour out. That's an idea. So we just want to make sure that we keep to the coal. That's still only going to be maybe 8 tons of coal. If that's still not really enough to start the coal operation. So we're just going to keep looking. All right, we have another printable. And again, we're not going to do a reroll. We're going to pretend the reroll doesn't exist. So we're going to choose a blueprint. All right, fertilizer. Turner, who is super decorative, but a mouth freezer, which is no good when I don't have really a sustainable source of oxygen. And he likes to get sick. Turner, you are rejected. This is Leanne, a bionic. I'm not ready for bionics yet. But Leanne does have an engineering booster, which is nice, and her decreased skills I don't really care about in a dupe or in a bionic dupe. So that's actually not bad. Oh my God, Ellie, what is wrong with you? Biohazardous, noodle arms, unempathetic. Unempathetic, I could deal with. Noodle arms is terrible. Rocketry, tidying, and ranching. You have noodle arms and you have a +5 strength. I hate that. I hate that for you. Ellie, I'm afraid I'm going to turn you down. Leanne is cool because she's from a mod actually. Because there aren't that many different bionics in the bionic pack, which is a little bit disappointing. Um, but I downloaded a mod that added some new ones. I think she's one of them. Uh, it's tempting, but I don't think I could sustain a bionic right now. I don't even have a real generator. So, given a bunch of bad choices, we're taking 3 tons of fertilizer. I know I can use that. So, it is what it is. All right. I would prefer more labor. I mean, as all capitalists, I would prefer more cheap labor, but and this isn't capitalism; it's a science expedition. Oh, that's fertilizer. I didn't have any fertilizer. Oh, I haven't even dug up any fertilizer yet. Huh, wild. So that counts as new because I hadn't dug up fertilizer yet. There's fertilizer around, I just didn't have it. Um, Fertilizer is useful for other things that I'm not using right now. Again, I'm using this disgusting, crappy plant because I'm not that concerned about the dupe's happiness yet. They're not overstressed with tons of skills that I've given them and things like that. That tends to stress them out. And I haven't been sending them into like go deep underwater and dig something up for me. So they're still like, oh yeah, our boss is nice. Eventually, I'll stress them out, and they'll be like, our boss is a real jerk. Next thing you know, oh, I'll be out on my butt. You know, workers of the world got to stick together against slave drivers like me. Now, again, these aren't full humans; they're duplicants. I stick by that, chat. I stick by it. All right, they're pooping and washing their hands. I don't have a poop getter ridder of her yet, so maybe that'll be a good thing. The polluted dirt isn't doing anything for me right now. Much later in the game, there's something to do with it, but that's not yet. Where do I want to put this compost heap? I'm going to put it down in this carbon pit. No, I don't want to put it down in the carbon pit all the way. Let's build out some actual floor and close it off. I don't actually need to close it off. Let's just build the floor. We're going to go to refinement and build a compost heap, and that'll help us get rid of our polluted dirt. Polluted dirt has germs. Does it give off? It emits polluted oxygen over time. So, polluted oxygen is good because it's oxygen, and it's bad because it's full of germs. Up to 5 tons of coal. We do have a hatch running around, but it's just the one. No, there's two. Okay. You don't need two creatures to mate or anything. That's not how critters work. Critters just lay eggs. If you make critters happy by like fully domesticating them, making them pets and feeding them, they produce more than one egg, and then that's how you get more than one creature. That's how you get an explosion of creatures rather than a steady population of one. So we got some coal down here now. Didn't reveal anything interesting. Some huge pool of polluted water, which is a good place to find fish. There's a pacu. That's the fish in this game. They can live in polluted water or regular water. and great source of food. They eat seeds for the most part and emit poop, polluted dirt. That just gives you more polluted dirt, Chuck. Why would you want that? Well, again, you can turn polluted dirt to dirt. Dirt's useful. And later on, you can feed polluted dirt to crabs. And crabs molt, and the molt can be used to make lime, and the lime can be used to make steel. Not exactly how it works in real life, but it's fun. I don't have my eyes on any crabs yet. So, or they're pokes or pokes, depending on how you want to pronounce it in this game. There's a paku and a paku egg. There's a puff, which is a thing that eats, it'll eat polluted oxygen and emit slime, which is useful because slime can be turned into algae. And again, it's just like turning one thing into a different thing. Drecos are great. You can shave them for fiber, which you can make clothes and carpets. And they have a variant called the glossy Dreco, and you can shave them for plastic. Plastic, extremely useful. Usually don't get it until later in the game, but you can get it kind of early with the Drecos, and that's great. All right, let's do pressure management next. We're going to need the other science stations here. So the gas pump, you can see here, the overheat temperature is 75 degrees. Make it out of gold, it goes up to 125. And 125 would be fine in here right now. So if I was desperate to use this gas, I could survive for a while and it would overheat eventually. I'm not desperate to use that gas, so I'm not going to worry about it. A coal generator won't get that hot. I'll farm the heck out of these hatches once I get the technology and the skill. And then we'll be in Coal City, baby. And we'll use that to generate our initial power. Later on, we'll be doing more cool things like natural gas. But right now, we're just going to concentrate on coal. Oh, and we now have these we don't have, okay, we're about to learn the manual airlocks, which are really slow to walk through, but an effective way of keeping gases separate. Again, I'm using a mod, so there won't be any leakage. If you play this game without that mod, gases will leak through just a little bit when people open the door, when the open the door. I don't like that. And there are tricks that people use to, or they're called liquid locks, which is a trick where no leakage happens and you don't need to use the airlock door. I don't like that. I just wish airlocks worked the way I expected, which is no gas gets through. So the mod changes the game into the game I expected. So all right, chat. What do you think? Mods? Yes, no. How do you feel about them? Again, let's see. Okay, we're creeping up on 9, so we're probably going to end the stream then, because nobody in retrospect wants to watch a 2-hour stream. But tomorrow at 7 on Thanksgiving Day, we will be playing the Dungeons and Dragons arcade game. I'll be playing it with real, actual friends of mine who will probably be in my ear swearing at me, but will not be swearing on the stream because I will not be broadcasting their voices. So you just know that tomorrow I'm going to be getting the business um, from my friends while playing this game, and you're not going to have to hear it. I'm just going to have to deal with it in silence. Mostly because typing their voices into the stream is super annoying, and the levels are way off and everything else. So just not doing it because of the inconvenience. Besides, you don't need to hear from them. You want to hear from me about the CFPB. And in the future, we will revisit the Cool Friendly Pals base for streams if folks are interested. If you like the Cool Friendly Pals base and you like watching me play Oxygen Not Included, leave a comment. Say so in the chat. Eggshell. Eggshell can be crushed to produce lime. Lime is used to make steel. Steel is the best thing in the world because steel adds overheat temperature of 200. Celsius, which means when you make a steel gas pump, it's good up to 275 degrees Celsius. And most things, especially gases, won't push that boundary. I think hydrogen vents produce a very hot gas, and it's still fine. And then hydrogen vents, of course, you put into hydrogen generators, but you got to cool that hydrogen down because you don't want it going hot into the hydrogen generator. The hydrogen generator overheats, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't talk really about why this is like thermodynamics in the game, but I do. I'm going to talk about it here. One of the things that's interesting about the game is its actual use of thermodynamics. So this is carbon dioxide, and you can see it has a specific heat capacity, thermal conductivity. Those are properties that are determined, in heat transfer, which is important in how gases capture heat, how heat is transferred through metals, how heat is transferred through the air, how things heat up, cool down, how much heat they can store. That's an interesting thing too, because different materials can store different amounts of heat. Heat essentially being energy, and one of the sources of power in this game is steam. So with steam, it's like a heat battery. So you heat up things, they turn to steam, and you can store that heat into like insulated tiles and stuff. Or not insulated tiles, but thermal reactive tiles. And then that heat transfers back and forth to the gas, keeping the gas hotter for longer, which lets you run the generators for longer. So all this stuff goes into how this game works. This specific heat capacity and thermal conductivity is pretty accurate to what carbon dioxide is in real life. So it's really quite a neat use of scientific mechanics to make game mechanics, so that you end up thinking about, okay, well, what do I make these walls out of? How do I make sure that, so for instance, if you put up an airlock door and it's made of metal, and there's something hot going on the other side, the door itself is going to get heated as well. And then that heat's going to transfer from the door into whatever is next to the door. If it's a gas, it'll transfer. But if you vacuum out the space, heat doesn't transfer well through a vacuum. So, um, you can eliminate and fully insulate areas by making a vacuum seal so that they don't generate, so the heat doesn't escape into other parts of your base. So that heat management becomes important. You can see the temperature overlay, like this green is good, but you can see here where my generator and stuff are sources of heat. These outhouses are sources of heat. There's a lot of heat, a lot more heat here, even though it's still pretty cool in the grand scheme of things. You can see this will make the area hotter. So that's something you have to be aware of too. Over here is this is a warmer area. Now this stone here that looks like a bunch of stars is an insulator. So that heat is not escaping through this stone. And that's just a convenience for the game. Up here is uranium and lead, which is very cold for some reason. And there are hotter areas as we go down. Right now, I'm not seeing. There are also frozen areas that you find, and I'm not seeing any right now. But so that keeping the heat out of your base and away from your duplicants, away from your plants, if your plants need to be cooler, and away from your what is this growth called? What's the problem? I'm sorry, I just got distracted by why this thing isn't growing. Oh, and then it did. Okay. Um, so you want to keep the heat away from plants that need to be cooler. And you want to direct the heat towards plants that need heat. And you want to make sure your dupes don't go idle like a bunch of idiots. What are you guys doing? I feel like you don't know how to leave. You can climb right down there. What are you doing? Are you being idiots? What are you doing? I don't like this. Okay, now leave. You can climb across these. I know you can climb across them. You can climb across this. You can climb up here. What is your pathing issue? All right, I'm going to try and manually move them. Okay, yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I guess they're being idle in a weird spot. Oh, okay. These dig commands are unreachable because of this ramp here. So I was seeing those dig commands. I'm like, why aren't they digging? Because I'm an idiot. It's not their fault. I'm going to just actually, I'll just put some temporary ladders here for them to climb down and dig this up. A lot of, I do a lot of construction and then destruction because I don't like where that is. I have to move everybody's house to a different part of the base. Um, this operation is, I got to expand, and this stupid gas vent's in my way, and is unbreakable and unmovable, just by the nature of the game. All right, okay, we've hit 857. We're only on cycle 7. This game is a long play game. Depending on how much longer I have to save the CFPB, you might see a lot of oxygen not included. You might see a little. So say goodbye to Dodd and Frank and the crew. No fees and remittance. And we will come back and join them again sometime. But for now, that's it. I'm going to go over to my 5 calls, do my final ask. Okay. Oh, okay. My mic stand did a little noise, but it's fine. I hope you enjoyed it. Please go to 5calls.org, search for CFPB, and you'll get that link above. There's another link there I didn't mention earlier, but it's just another script. If you're interested in, reading something, I know a lot of people aren't exactly comfortable with calling and then trying to think on their feet. So we have some scripts to help with that. Again, earlier I was talking about a joiner or follower by nature. And I hate telling people like use the script because I feel like I want you to speak with your voice and say what you mean. But the lucky thing is if you agree with the script, then whatever, who cares? Not everybody is great at speaking their thoughts into unique words, and that's okay. Everybody has a different skill set. Not everybody is extroverted. Not everybody can do a live stream like me and talk for 2 hours about nothing and do bad Charles Bronson impersonations. People like you make me wanna puke. Anyways, so we'll be back tomorrow with Dungeons and Dragons arcade game. Go to Podcast Store, call your senators, call your representatives, tell them to restore funding to CFP, the National Defense Act, Stop Scammers Act, however they want to do it, baby. We're in imminent danger of uh, the directors and appointees and whatnot of the CFP and the administration saying, well, the CFP is out of money and we can't ask for any because, well, I won't get into it, but my opinion is that they are doing a creative reading of, of the way things are written. So we're in real danger of them saying we're out of money and now, blah, blah, blah. We're, in danger of them trying to violate our collective bargaining agreement, which is, a contract. I don't know. I'm not a contract law lawyer, but it seems to me it's a contract. You should hold to it. Um, they are saying that we could run out of money at the end of December. There's things in place that say that there's a pending court case and the new continuing resolution, which say in law that there are no reductions in force to be done for any government agencies. But I think they will try to weasel around that. I think they will try to say it doesn't apply to us. I think they'll try to say we're out of money for other reasons. I think they'll try to say, well, you're not appropriated, blah, blah. And the way to defend the CFPB and make sure that we continue to monitor markets during this affordability crisis is to just write that into law. To write it into law that the funding is restored to its maximum. To even clarify that, you know, the language so that it's clear how the funding works. to clarify that you can't furlough the CFPB employees or shut down the bureau just because you wanna. The best way to do that is to write it into law and not depend on the language that currently exists, which I just think is just another court case that they'll provoke, which is what this administration has been doing for the year. I'm sorry, this is me going off on a tangent, but the point is, I'm asking you to please tell your senators to just restore our funding and protect the CFPB. However they can do it, they've got a lot of power. They're the branch of the government, and they should do Article 1 stuff. Fun Article 1 stuff. That's what I'm advocating. Sorry, I'm slouching. That looks terrible. It's worse than my nose tilt. I'm slouching. I don't look professional and proud, like a professional, proud government employee, and not like a. Well, the hair makes me look like a slob, but there's no getting around that. 40 some years, and the hair has never behaved. So come back tomorrow, and we'll be doing more gaming. And then we'll do the next day also. Again, tomorrow, I've mentioned this, I think, before, but I'm going to talk tomorrow a little bit about what I think is happening in the NFL games. I can't, I can't report the scores or anything like that without the express written consent of the National Football League. I can't give an account of the game without the express written consent of the National Football League. But I don't think there's anything against me just making it up. So I'll keep you updated with the score so you don't have to watch what the Bengals play the Ravens. Whatever. I think we all know. I'm from Pittsburgh, and I have a transformer that turns into a Steelers helmet that proves my fandom. All right. How many transformers that turn into NFL football team helmets do you have? I mean, probably not a lot. They just came out. It's pretty cool, though. It's a pretty cool little guy. I like him. His name's Steel Smash. Maybe not a great name, but cool little guy. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. The membership program, just to reiterate, if you get 5 people to subscribe to the channel, you are a member of the fan club. If you get 10 people to subscribe to the channel, you are a fan of the fan club. Those are the rules. It is the honor system, so I don't want to hear about it. You don't have to report it up the chain. If you did it, you did it, and if you did it, you are a member or a fan, depending on your rank. So thank you, all the fans and the members out there struggling getting us the 63 subscribers. I'm pretty sure I had 64 last week. Depressing. Like and subscribe. Show it to all your friends. Tomorrow, Turkey Day, at that table, tell people to protect the CFPB. Tell them why. And if you don't know why, you haven't been paying attention to the stream. Go back and watch all the streams. You don't have enough time to do that before tomorrow's dinner, but gather some quality information and convince those dinner guests to protect the CFPB, to call their senators, call their representatives, tell them to restore the CFPB's funding, and then eat a piece of turkey. And tell them to watch the stream. Less important than the first part. Obviously, restore the CFPB's funding, primary ask. Watch the Save the CFPB live stream, though. Pretty close. Pretty close to importance. Also, I'm on Instagram at Mr. Gone, Mistergone, and Blue Sky, Mr. Gone, where I'm just posting random crap. Some of it's about saving the CFPB, some of it isn't. But I do post like funny shorts to Instagram when I get a chance. I think they're funny. My kids think they're funny, and my kids don't like most of my work. So, harsh critics. So they do like the shorts though. So tune in for those. Subscribe. I post them to YouTube too, but I don't know. I just feel like Instagram does them better. I'm sorry, YouTube. I'm not harshing your vibe. I don't know. I just feel like Instagram does them better. I don't, you know, I don't have a brand loyalty to either one, but anyways, whatever your preference is. I should get them on TikTok. I don't know. It's like work. I got to install the TikTok app, and it was illegal for a second, or not illegal. I don't even understand. I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't want to run afoul of federal law. I'm a federal employee. I'm under an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And then what? I don't know which side of that TikTok falls on right now. So until that's clarified to me, I'm not on the TikTok. But if someone clarifies it by the Constitution, TikTok's fine. Maybe I'll get on the TikTok. All right. See you tomorrow at 7. I just don't shut up unless I play the outro music. So let me get the outro. Oh man, I closed the window. I closed the outro music window. What was I doing? All right. Well, we're ready anyways. I can make it happen. Okay. One more second. Okay. It's starting up. All right. Never has it taken so long for a media player to play a song. All right. Tomorrow at 7, come back for Dungeons and Dragons. And Friday, I'm thinking we're going to do weird. It's not a weird game. It's a game that I love that puzzles many people as to why I love it. It is a game about driving trucks through mud. It's called Expeditions, a Mud Runner game. If you play Mud Runner or Snow Runner, it's in that vein. And if you've never seen any of those games, you will be shocked as to why somebody enjoys driving trucks through mud. But it's fun. I mean, maybe you won't be shocked. It seems like it would be a fun thing. Tomorrow at 7, like and subscribe. And be sure to chat in the chat if you think my nose might be slightly off kilter. Or chat if you think it's just the lighting. Bye for now.